What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to the #1 college football show, and this is our UFL championship game preview show. We're going to have the Birmingham Stallions facing off against the San Antonio Brahmas for UFL supremacy, and there's a lot at stake for both of these clubs, but I want to start with the two-time defending USFL conference champions, or I should even say the USFL legacy champions for 2 years, the conference champions going into the UFL championship game, the Birmingham Stallions. I thought that Skip Holtz was the best coach in the UFL this year. Shout out to Mike Nolan, who did a lot of work to win that award, won 5 straight before running into a loss in the playoffs against the Stallions. But the Stallions are trying to become the first spring football dynasty that we've had in the U.S. in the 21st century. Now, we can stretch this out, but the way I like to frame this is only one North American spring football franchise has won 3 or more consecutive championships. And we're talking about the Edmonton Eskimos from 1978 to 1982 in the Canadian Football League. And I'll add this, the Canadian Football League has been playing football for over 100 years, okay? The UFL is in its first year, the USFL and the XFL legacies are combined 5 years old, but that's 5 years old. My goodness. And I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of what Skip Holtz has been and who he has become. This is a man who was a great college football coach, particularly as a coordinator at Notre Dame, going up against Florida State, winning a national championship, got his first head coaching job 30 years ago at UConn, and developed into one of the stalwarts in the game. I mean, he's coached in the SEC, right? He coached at La Tech last. He had one losing season the last 10 years, and that was his last at La Tech. Took this job coaching the Stallions in year 1 when nobody thought the USFL would get up off the ground. And all he has done is win and win and win. And one of the reasons that they're able to do that is his personnel general manager, Zach Potter, and he are in constant communication, and they put together this roster that features guys like Adrian Martinez. But even when Adrian Martinez wins the MVP and doesn't play his best football against the Michigan Panthers, they can go to the 3rd round NFL draft pick, Matt Corral, to steady the ship, go 9 of 11 for 120 yards to get them a win. And that's before I start talking about some of the dudes they got catching passes. I mean, Jordan Thomas is 6'6", 270, and moves like he's 210 at the wide receiver spot. You got Kevin Austin, who was from Notre Dame. You got Deion Kane from Clemson, right? You got dudes. You got Jay Sternberger, who was an All-American at A&M, also played with the Green Bay Packers. Amari Rodgers, a dynamic return man and slot man who also went to Clemson, played for the Green Bay Packers. Defensively, Taco Charlton, playing defensive end at Michigan, was a pick by the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, he's coming off the edge for the Stallions. It's been really cool to watch this team come together and really dig itself out of a couple of holes the last 2 weeks. Like Michigan played them really close the last 2 weeks, and then were able to pour it on late to get that conference championship game win. But as they are getting ready to face the San Antonio Brahmas, the thing that the Brahmas will tell you is we are the only team to beat them in a calendar year. And not for nothing, they did it with defense, which should tell you everything you need to know about Wade Phillips, who is one of the made men in our game. Like, the man started coaching football at Houston, 1969. Skip Holtz will tell you later in the show he was 5 years old when Coach Phillips started coaching. And then a way I like to put it is Nick Saban was still in high school when Wade Phillips was a grad assistant at Houston. And all he has done is win at a professional level. Like, the way that I also wanted to talk about this is if you were looking at pro football, you're looking at Wade Phillips, who's won a Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator, also head coach with an 84-62 overall record. And by the way, helped my Dallas Cowboys break a 12-season playoff drought as the head coach. Bum Phillips' kid just stays getting it done, and he knows from talent and knows from how to put a football team together that can go win games. It's no surprise that they are really a defensive team, but here of late, A.J. Smith, the young offensive coordinator for Wade Phillips, has done a great job of featuring the run game. They've got a guy in Anthony McFarland who came out of Maryland who can break one off. He went for 69 yards on 1 carry for a TD through the middle of the defense against the St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL championship game. John Lovett has been great for them. Talking about one of the 2 best rushers alongside Adrian Martinez are going to be in this game. You've got tackling machines on that Brahmas defense. One in particular, Jordan Mosley, who we featured here on the show. Great box safety, comes downhill, hits everything that he can see. I think what this is going to be interesting to watch. I think what's going to be interesting to watch about this is just how Skip Holtz tried to attack that defense that keeps its eyes in the backfield, that doesn't run a lot of blitzes, that doesn't run a lot of rolling coverages, and just sees what they hit and stop people from getting first downs. They also do a great job of keeping the score down. So I think if Birmingham can get to 21 points, they got their best chance to win the UFL championship, but that's easier said than done against the Brahmas team that plays great complementary football. If you got a great defense, you want the offense to hold the ball a little bit longer, to run the ball a little bit more so the defense can go out there and do its work. And you never give an offense like Skip Holtz the opportunity to be explosive and to get into rhythm. That is what the Michigan Panthers did very well against them, at least in the first half of each of the last two games. They were able to disrupt Adrian Martinez's timing. They were able to get him to make throws that weren't there. And when he chose to run, they had somebody there chasing him down, chasing him out of bounds because he's fast. But if you push him to the outside, he can't get upfield and get by you. He has to go to the out of bounds. I think that's what you're going to see San Antonio do. I think from a bigger standpoint, we're all watching this to see if Birmingham can pull off the spring dynasty. This is going to be one of those games that we talk about for a long time. If Skip Holtz can win a third consecutive Pro Football Spring League championship. On the other side, we're going to get to see if San Antonio can be the team that they showed themselves to be in the regular season. We're the best team in the UFL because we've beaten the best team in both the USFL and the UFL to win Wade Phillips his first championship as a head coach. Remarkable story. This man has been coaching for over 50 years, and he spent quite a few of them as a head coach, but this will be his first opportunity to lift a league championship trophy. And I think that's remarkable. I think that's cool. And if you hear Coach Phillips talk, you'll know that he's old school. You know that he's a Texan. You'll know that it ain't hard because it's football and he knows how to coach it. So I'm excited to see how these two guys go up against each other. Skip Holtz has a tremendous amount of respect, as do I, for Coach Phillips. But on Sunday, Father's Day, that's going to go out the window as both of them try to go win the inaugural UFL championship game on Fox. All right. We are privileged to speak with coaches of the San Antonio Brahmas and the Birmingham Stallions. Let's talk to Coach Holtz about just what he thinks about Wade Phillips and what he is chasing with one game left to play this season. I'm pleased to be joined by Birmingham Stallions head coach Skip Holtz. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm honored to be joined by RJ. You know what I mean? So this is a good thing. Looking forward to it today, RJ.
Coach, I want to get started with the USFL championship that you came back from 15 down. You changed the quarterback. You went through a third quarter that had 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
I told everybody that third quarter was the longest decade of football of my life, but I'm curious, how did you feel?
You know, I might have been one of the wildest quarters I've ever seen. And, I think you go through during the course of the season, I think we had 7 turnovers in 10 games. And we had 4 in that one. It was just crazy. There were 6 turnovers combined in the third quarter. And it went back and forth. Watching it was like watching a tennis match. It just kept going back and forth. I'm sure television was excited because they got all their commercial breaks in with all the change of possessions. But it was a wild game. It really was. And, it was a hard-fought game, a well-played game. And it's an 18-12 game, a 6-point game until the third quarter started. And then it just went back and forth. And I thought our defense did a great job creating a bunch of turnovers and kept our offense in it until we really could get our feet on the ground, quit turning the ball over, and go down and put some points up.
That was a change from the years past. It's been a bend, don't break defense. This year, they've pinned their ears back. They've been really good. They've been able to pick up the offense when the offense is sputtered. But one of the things you said in the first year was I got 2 starters in Jamar Smith and Alex Magoo. You've kind of kept that even as you handed the keys to the MVP and Adrian Martinez. You were able to go to a guy like Matt Corral to come in and basically calm the offense down and complete the throws that were there. One, you got those guys. 2, does that create any sort of QB controversy going into the championship game?
No, it doesn't. And, we played them both a lot early, and I underwent a lot of criticism the first 4 games. Make a decision, pick one. I got 2. I have 2 really good quarterbacks. I have 2 guys that if either one was chosen could lead this team to a championship. I think they're both very talented. They both had great camps. I couldn't be more pleased. I know a lot of people were always talking about you got to have a quarterback. I feel like I have 2, and I think they're both really talented players. But, the reason it worked, we made a decision after about week 4. We went with Adrian Martinez. with the way that they had played in the first 4 games, and I thought he did an unbelievable job. We would not have been in that game Saturday had it not been for the way Adrian Martinez has played during the course of this season. Hence the MVP from the role that he played for us all season long. But really, I think when the story about Matt Corral is a guy that has waited patiently for his turn. He wasn't happy about the decision. He accepted it. We've talked a lot about it. He comes to work every day. He gets reps during the week of practice. He continues to develop. He continues to stay in it. He's not sulking and pouting and sitting over on the sideline because he didn't get to play. He's just waiting for his opportunity. And so I felt like there was an opportunity Saturday. I felt like we needed a spark. It wasn't like, Adrian, you're playing terrible. I got to get you out. I just felt like we needed a spark. We're in the playoffs at this point. This isn't about anybody's feelings. This is, let's all put on our big boy pants and understand that we're here to win football games. That's what we're trying to do. This isn't about anybody getting in feelings or feeling slighted or I didn't get to play first, so I'm going to pout. And you know what? Matt got his chance and he went in and he was ready for it. And he went 9 of 11 and he did a great job. And I'm proud as I can be of him. It doesn't change the fact that, it's kind of like when Ricky Persons is the starter and CJ Marable goes in and rushes for 80 yards. We don't go, oh, wow, let's flip them. You know what? You're the backup. You're the starter. We've got 2, and they're both going to play. And as we get into this game, right now, Adrian's going to go in as the starter as he has the last 8 weeks of the season. But Matt is available to play. And if I feel like he can help us win, then he's going to go in.
You have created depth in a league where depth is never a thing you can count on, which I think is remarkable. But one of the ways I actually want to get at that was, I know that you've been a big fan of pushing the ball down the field in the past, both at the college level and at the pro level, but you got 2 tight ends that I think are certified monsters. And I've known about Jay Sternberger. He's from around the way at Kingfisher, and he's been on the team. But the find you have in Jordan Thomas, I mean, is he still 270 and 6'6" and moving like that? Yes. And you're able to make those guys into players. I'm curious how they fit into your game plan the last 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Well, I think JT is a guy first year in this offense, and he's evolved. You know what I mean? There's a lot of little nuances in this offense, and there's a lot to learn. It's not just I have to learn what to run this route, but how do I run this route? How do I run it in this coverage? How do I run it in that coverage? What do I got to do in man? There's a lot of little nuances on it. And you look at a guy like Jay Sternberger in his second year, he's got it. You know what I mean? He is clicking. He's got it. And that's where JT, as he was learning a little bit early, it's like, why do you take a guy like Jay Sternberger out to play a very talented player who's going to be great, but he doesn't get it as well. He doesn't get it yet as well as Jace does. And so as the year goes on, you continue to develop them and grow them. And when you feel like they're ready, you get them out there a little more and a little more. And as people are seeing the second half of the season, JT's a monster. He is. You've got to know where he is. He's a mismatch problem for people that want to play man coverage, and especially down in the red zone. They were playing too deep, and he just outran the linebacker at 270 pounds right down the middle of the field. He is a talent. He is catching the ball. He's a mismatch with his size and with his speed and with his ability to go get balls. And he makes this a better football team right now. So, yeah, I think the big thing for us right now is how do you get them all involved? We talked a little bit about the quarterbacks. We talked a little bit about the tight ends. We could have the same conversation at the running back with Tree, maybe one of the more talented tailbacks that we have in our offense right now. But yet right now, how do you get him the opportunity when you have guys like Ricky and CJ playing at the level that they are right now? So it's been a lot of fun. I think it's 2 things the way it's happened. One, I think Zach Potter does a great job of identifying talent during the offseason. Zach and I spend about 2 or 3 hours a day, every day during the offseason talking personnel. He and I are both involved very heavily. Really, I am the duck that gets to float on top of the water and makes decisions, and he's the feet that paddle like hell underneath to make sure it goes forward. He does a great job for us of acquiring talent, and then we get on the phone and we recruit them. I think they want to be part of this program. So far, when you looked at it, it's been associated with championships. It's been associated with winning. It's been associated with developing our players. the Stallions have been associated with giving players an opportunity to get to the next level. And so I think a lot of these guys look at it and go, wow, I have a chance to go to Birmingham. And I think it's an attractive option right now. So I think it's the hard work that Zach Potter puts into it. I think it's the recruiting that we do. And I think it's really the success that we've had. The players want to be part of it right now. And it's given us the opportunity to create this depth.
You have created an advantage in a league where advantage was not something you were supposed to be able to create by winning culture guys want to be a part of. And that's really exciting for me. Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you not just about playing or coaching in a third straight spring football championship game, but the unique opportunity to avenge the only loss you have against a damn good football team. I mean, particularly on that defense, they're so fast and they get upfield in a hurry. How is it that you're preparing for this opportunity? And then what do you see from that defense that makes them so difficult?
Well, let me start with, I think our whole team is really excited at San Antonio. I think they're the best team in the West. I think, I'm glad we didn't vote these teams in. We played them in because I think the best football teams got there. I think San Antonio has given up over 20 points one time this entire season. They keep the ball in front of them. They're not real exotic. They're not a big blitz team and high risk. They just keep the ball in front of them. They're very basic in what they do, but they're very fundamentally sound and they run like crazy to the ball. They've got great speed. I think they've got one of the better defensive lines in this league. They create havoc in your backfield. They disrupt a lot of things, and then their linebackers and their second level is really fast. So they do a great job defensively, but I think for our players, I think, you're motivated to play in the championship game. You're motivated to go this far, to get into week 12. If you're going to get into it, you want to try and win it. But you're also playing your only loss of the season. Being 10-1 right now, we have the opportunity to avenge our only loss. And so I think our players have a little bit of added interest, added excitement, added enthusiasm. But it also means you're playing the best team. There's some teams that would wish for the lesser of the two teams to get in. I think our players are really excited that we have the opportunity to play the better football team, and we have a chance to go play a team with not just with the resume, but with the talent, and a team that our players have great respect for and are excited about having the opportunity to play again.
Coach, I have a hard time sometimes getting across to the kiddos just who Wade Phillips is in our industry and what he means. But one of the ways in which I like to set that up is Coach Phillips started as a grad assistant at Houston in 1969. Nick Saban was still in high school. He's retired this year. Coach Phillips is going to coach in his first championship as a head coach against you. I'm curious, what does Wade Phillips mean to you? And if you can articulate for some of the younger folks that watch the show, just who this man is in our industry.
Well, you talk about when he started, I was 5 years old. I was 5 years old, but I grew up, he was an icon in the NFL. He was one of those, when people want to start talking about NFL coaches today and you want to start naming all the coaches, he was an icon. He was in the NFL for 30 some years. I mean, with what he has done, with the success that he has done and the longevity that he has done it with, I think speaks as much volumes about his character, the type of coach that he is, and the success that he's had. He is a guy that I looked up to. I had the opportunity the very first time to go against him when we played a couple weeks ago. And it's like you're standing across the field from an idol, a guy that's been an NFL icon for as long as he's been. Just phenomenal amount of respect for him, for the success he's had, for the job that he does. And again, I think there's a lot of people that are the flash in the pan. There are a lot of people maybe that have won it once. But when you do it consistently, when we talk about like what Nick Saban has done consistently, that's what makes you a great coach. There's a lot of people that'll be a head coach maybe 4 or 5 years and they may win some games. But the respect that goes out from me to Wade Phillips is the longevity that he has done it with, because, hey, you got to be a good person. You got to have great work ethics, and you got to be damn good at what you're doing to do it as long as he has, to have the success that he's had. So it's with great respect that I'm going to have the opportunity to stand across from one of my idols when I was growing up, and one of the icons that I looked up to, one of the guys that was one of those names that drove me into coaching. So, from that standpoint, it's going to be a real honor for me to stand across the field. But he's got that type of power with the success that he's had as a coach.
Coach Skip Holtz will coach against Wade Phillips in the UFL championship game on Sunday, Father's Day. Coach, you win 2, you're good. You win 3, you're a dynasty. You're 1 win away. Congratulations getting this far, Coach, and good luck on Sunday.
I can't wait. Giddy up.
I'm pleased to be joined by San Antonio Brahmas head coach Wade Phillips. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing really well right now.
Yeah, well, we're a few days before you're playing for the UFL championship game in St. Louis on Fox at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Coach, I want to start with this. Like, I didn't know this, and maybe you get this a lot, but this is your first opportunity as a head coach to coach for a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I won divisions as a head coach,
Yes,
and an assistant coach for won the Super Bowl. So, I mean,
yes,
it's obviously a big game though for me and our team. And it's mostly our team. And that's what's the important thing.
It's very interesting to me that you would want this experience to start with. And now that you have turned the Brahmas into an XFL conference championship team, talking about championships you have won, I wonder if at anything, even given the more than 50 plus years you've spent in the sport as a coach, have you learned something about yourself in the XFL and the UFL?
Well, I've learned how much I love coaching and appreciate being able to coach, coach professional players. And so, but you're always evolving. The players are always, society changes, the players change a little bit, but in football, they're pretty constant, that they learn to work hard and try to do what their job is. So I've always appreciated coaching those kind of guys.
One of the things that I've been fascinated with is not just how great your defense is. And I know there's only one all UFL player on it, but I think it's been outstanding. And we've tried to say that, but how the offense has also evolved to understand that the defense is the strength. At the start of the season, it felt like perhaps AJ was calling a little bit more pass concepts, trying to get things to Cody Latimer, trying to get things to John Trey Kirkland. But here down the stretch, it has felt like they're really trying to hand the ball to the tailbacks and let the defense lead them in this direction, where I don't think y'all given up more than 20 points except one time this year. Is that how you thought it would go? Is that how you built it?
Well, you try to do what your players do, what they do best. And yeah, we've adjusted as the season gone along, but we've been so good on defense that, the strategy turns a little bit to say, hey, let's don't take too many chances on offense. And the defense is not going to let them score any points. So, you have to play to what your team does well.
I'm curious, getting this opportunity to play against the USFL champion Birmingham Stallions, y'all being the only team that has beat them in a calendar year. Do you feel like you have an edge, or do you feel as if perhaps they know something about you that they didn't before?
I don't know. I think we know something about each other that we didn't know before, but it was a tight game, but we won. That's the only game they've lost in 2 years. So they're that good. They're a really good team, but we did beat them. So we're looking forward to the game. I think it gives us some confidence that we might not have had if we had not played them at all.
I think that's a great way to look at it. I got to talk with Coach Holtz about you and the challenge of facing against your defense. And he's talking about just how good they are at being disciplined, your defense, keeping their eyes in the backfield. Not a lot gets by them. They're really going to make you take your shots down the field if you want to, but they're going to keep everything in front of them. I wonder, when you look at a coach like Coach Holtz, who is offensive minded, you being defensive minded, are you playing chess over there? Are you having a good time trying to figure out what that guy's doing next?
Well, I mean, I always certainly look at the offense and see what they do and see if there's things that we can do against them. Both, and Coach Holtz is a great offensive coach, so they're going to change things that they didn't do well. It's somewhat chess. It's not really checkers. It's more chess in that. You have to determine what they're going to do the next time because we've already played a game and now it's the second match, second chess match, and they're going to change some things. We've got to change some things, and we'll see what happens.
My last one for you,
Makes it
Coach.
fun. Yeah.
I try to frame it this way because I think it's important. You got started coaching college at Houston in 1969. Same year, Nick Saban's a high school senior. He just retired from coaching in January. And here you are in year 55, still wanting to coach. What do you think it is about this sport and about you that makes you keep wanting to get up and do this?
Well, I mean, it's something I love to do, and I appreciate the league, giving me a job to do this. So I've loved football my whole life. My dad was a coach, and I looked up to him and tried to emulate him as much as I could. And then my son is a coach, so it's a family tradition, really. I mean, my son coached for the Vikings, so it's just what we do. It's our family, and our kids, grandkids, sisters, and so forth. They all love football because they've all been in it with me.
Well, Coach, I'm rooting for you this Sunday. Please have an outstanding Father's Day and see if you can't go win yourself a UFL championship.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we'll give it everything we got. I know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. The UFL championship game will be on Fox at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will be here right after the game to give you my instant reaction to who has won the championship, why it matters, and what we can expect from the UFL going forward. All right, we will see y'all on Sunday. Until then, stay low, keep those feet driving. Deuces.